Hey PR students, this is Dr. Sloan and I am going to provide you with an APA tutorial. Each of these bullet points is something that I copied and pasted from each of your discussion board posts for week 2. So each of you are responsible for one of these bullet points. And what I wanted to do is show you all of the ways or some of the repeat ways that I'm seeing incorrect citing. So I'm just going to go in here and turn on track changes and get going. So first, when we're citing the textbook, it's important that we cite all of the authors. If there are more than 5, if there are 1 to 5 authors, the first time we cite, we include all of the authors. So example, if there were broom, dustpan, closet, chair, and Shaw, you would say all of those authors in writing the first time, and then after that you could say broom et al. If there are just 1 to 3 authors, you just list them every time, especially in a short thing like your discussion posts. Again, in a long paper, even if there's more than 2, you can do et al. Since there are technically 2 authors for the newest edition of the textbook, each of you every time should be typing Broom and Shaw. For a direct quote, there also needs to be a page number at the end of the citation. I believe this quote comes from page 5, and the punctuation goes at the end. For an earlier edition, the authors may have actually been Cutlip and Center. So I'm going to leave this and assume that it's correct. What's important is for this second bullet is that you put quotation marks around another person's words and you provide whatever the page number is. So I don't know if it comes from page 3, it might be from page 20. I'll just put a number sign as a placeholder. But what is important for the correction on this one is that you include the quotation marks. A failure to include quotation marks around another person's words, even when you include a reference to the authors, is still plagiarism, because without the quotation marks, the reader assumes these are your words. For this one, it appears to be an actual paraphrase, so this wording appears to be the student's own wording. So the only correction here is that both authors are referenced and that the punctuation is moved to the after the parenthetical citation or citation in parentheses. Instead of our text says, what this should do is we should move this information to here. So Broom and Shaw 2013 state, and then you would include the page number at the end. So you don't have to reference our text, and page number information always goes at the end of the citation, not at the beginning. We never ever include first names, even on the reference page with sources in APA, and the reason is because APA is striving for readers not to have an opinion about an author based on one's gender. So we always refer to authors as last name only, and then on the reference page it is G period N period, because for the same reason we still don't want to assume something about an author based on gender. So this citation becomes Broom and Shaw, and if you have the most recent edition of the textbook, the publication year is actually 2013, and there's no need for a period right there. Broom and Shaw define marketing as, and then this has quotation marks, which is great. We just need to make sure that we also include the page number at the end. Again, I'm not sure what page this comes from, so I'm going to use a number sign as a placeholder. Again, for here, our text, we addressed this one earlier, so we're just going to, instead of refer to our text, we're going to refer to people. Shaw and Broom define them, and then you need to begin a quote with quotation mark, end it, and include the page number. According to Broom and Shaw, 2013, critics, this is great. The only issues here are quotation marks within quotes become single. So you just need to change that. And I'm not sure why there's a quotation mark here if that's an error. So I'm going to assume that's an error, and then we end the quote there, not after. So these are some pretty minor things, but just to pay attention. So the last thing is actually a student's own statement, but it's actually learned information. So we're going to do a paraphrase citation, which is just a reference to the authors and the year. So because there's no parentheses included, then the reader knows this sentence here is the writer's own words, own thoughts, but when you include the paraphrase citation, that's you being an ethical citer where you are referencing where you learned such knowledge. So I hope this is a useful tutorial and that helps you cite sources accurately for this class and for future classes.